Great day, everyone. Ed Dudley coming from Durham, North Carolina on this beautiful day. And I'm happy, honored, and excited because I get the chance to look at my amazing girlfriend across the pond. Great day, Charmaine. How are you?
I'm fabulous, Zulu Ed. Well, it's always awesome being in your company. So it's been a good week considering we didn't have electricity most of this week, but otherwise it's just awesome being here. So yeah, you tend to
Well,
energize the room, so thank you for that.
oh, you know what? I got to get you over here in the States, or I got to get over to South Africa. One of the two.
We'll
So
make that happen.
sooner than later. So I'm always excited to have some of the guests. We have some amazing guests that come on here and drop some incredible jewels of knowledge to us. But I have an individual today. There was a movie a few years ago called Hidden Figures, and it talked about a lot of African American women that have done some amazing things and have never gotten any true clout or publicity about what they've done. And we actually have a hidden figure here today, and I'm going to bring her in right now. Great day, Dr. Johnson.
Hello, Zulu Ed. How are you? It is a pleasure to be a part of this conversation.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the Ubuntu house. Dr. Johnson,
Thank
it's an
you.
absolute pleasure having you. I'm so excited. Well, I have to say, it's the first time I've actually met somebody with a doctorate in computer engineering. So I'm so looking to learn from you. And congratulations on that achievement. I think it's
Thank you
really,
very
really
much.
something being, especially a woman, actually. I've never even met a man with a doctorate in computer engineering. And trust me, no disrespect, we've chatted to 5 males with doctorates, but not with a doctorate in computer engineering.
Well,
So
how
yeah,
about that?
how about that?
So that's a great
Great
segue.
women.
That's a great segue. So, Dr. Johnson, won't you? I mean, I can always sit here and read your bio and all that good stuff. But why don't you share with the people who you really are, and we can dive into some other questions after that.
Okay. Who I really am. I am a child of God, first and foremost. I am an American born in Japan to someone who was in the Air Force. Came back to the US when I was 9 months old, so I have no recollection of that. My father was killed in an automobile accident by a drunken driver when I was 2, leaving my mother with an older sister who was 5. I was 2, a younger brother who was 1, and she was 3 months pregnant with my youngest sister. So she raised all of us as a single mother in Lake Charles, Louisiana, her hometown, which became our hometown, and had a great childhood. Uh, then went on to Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Stanford University, and then Rice University to earn my PhDs in electrical engineering for the PhD, a concentration in computer engineering. Then I went on to work for IBM in research and development, quite a few interesting and exciting roles. My last role, I was the actual chief technology officer for IBM in Central, East, and West Africa. So I lived in Nairobi, Kenya. Prior to that, I was in Dubai, and I spent 3 years traveling throughout the continent of Africa, visiting many countries, 22, I think, many of them several times, including South Africa, because my favorite city is Cape
Ah,
Town.
ah, it has been voted like I think it was top 10 or the favorite city in recent. It got a vote of sorts. I should know this, and I don't actually. So yeah, so I can understand what is your favorite city. It is beautiful. I
I
live in
almost bought
Johannesburg.
a condo there, but I said, well, this is a long way to go for a vacation. But So maybe not a condo, but I've been back a few times. So my favorite city. Johannesburg is okay too.
No, it is okay. It is okay,
Okay.
but Cape Town is magical. Actually, it
Yes.
has everything for everybody. So there's no. It is the truth. It's not something I really want to hear, but I'm going to accept it.
So Dr. Johnson, you've done a lot, but I want to go back to young girl, young Sandra. What, when you were in high school, because that's when a lot of times we start trying to figure out who we are and things like that. What made you decide to go to college? Because sometimes, a little older individuals say, no, I'm just going to go straight into the workforce. You decide to go to college and study engineering and some other things like that. What was the genesis for that?
Okay. So going to college was, I mean, I did not have any other option. My mother, one of those Stearns, do what I say, mothers, and all of her siblings, it was like a mantra that all of us heard from the time I was 2, you're going to college. So I did not have an option not to go
Good.
to college, right? So, but in determining what field of endeavor, what would I pursue? I knew I loved math and science in school, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, whatever I do, has to have a lot of math and science. And, I had adults trying to encourage me to pursue actually medicine, but I can't stand the sight of blood.
That makes two
I
of
get
us.
wheezy. I, feel like I'm about to pass out. So that was not an option for me. And then one day I received in the mail a letter from the Southern University Engineering Summer Institute for high school students. I was a junior in high school at the time. And so if you were accepted into this program, you get to go live on the campus in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which was about a couple of hours from my hometown. Stay in a dorm and as a high school student in the summer and learn about electrical, mechanical, and civil engineering. And so I was not interested in learning how to drive a train because that was the only engineer I was aware of. However, I was interested in getting away from home for the summer so I would not have to do any chores, particularly washing dishes. So I applied for the program, was accepted. Off I went to spend the summer in the dorm to learn about how to drive a train. And it was I think the first couple of courses that we had that summer that I realized that, hey, wait a minute, this is a little different. And it was during that summer that I fell in love with electrical engineering. I just knew this is something I was born to do.
Oh,
And so
fabulous.
that's how I chose this discipline.
It was not an intentional choice, though, right? But it kind of landed
Yes.
in
Well,
a
that's the
way
story of
that
more or
makes,
less my whole life. It's just kind of
which is
stumble into
fabulous.
things. Yeah. Or you can
Yeah.
call it ordered steps.
Yeah, yeah. So you go off to Southern. So Charmaine, Southern University is a historically black college here in the United States. One of the great institutions here. So you go off to Southern and you start studying engineering. What was that like for you? I mean, first of all, let me back up. How many women were in your class
Well,
when you
actually,
started
that's
studying?
a good question because at the time, in the late 70s, early 80s, 40% of my classmates were women.
Oh, really?
That's
Yes.
impressive.
It was a HBCU. I think it was a little different at other universities.
Hmm.
So it was fun for me. Of course, there were still more men than
Yeah.
women. Right? And I like playing around doing homework with the men more than the women, right?
Mm.
So it was great, though. It was great.
Good.
That's quite a high percentage, though. I mean, in
It
comparison
is.
to South Africa. studying engineering. I mean, my brother's an electrical engineer, but it's largely dominated by males.
That
It's
is true.
only, yeah. So that's impressive. In the 70s and early 80s, there was 40%, almost half. I mean, that's,
Yes.
Did they, towards the end, was the percentage of pass rate also, was there dropouts or was the same amount
Many
proportion
dropped
to,
out. More women than men did drop out. Yes.
okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's
But it's
fabulous.
still, relatively speaking, still at the time a large percentage. But yes, more women dropped out as the years progressed.
Yeah.
Sure. Dr. Johnson, I stalked you, right? Because I was so excited about getting you on here, and I went into your website and I looked at a couple of things you've been doing. You have what I call it's a portfolio mandate. You are so many things on so many levels, besides having your doctorate in electrical engineering, majoring in computer science or computer engineering. You're an entrepreneur, blockchain ambassador. So hidden figure was actually explained to me because I was going to ask you a question as to what that actually meant. A master inventor, a global technology leader. So there's so much about your board member. So when I understand blockchain, and I'm very naive when it comes to certain things, when it comes to technology, and I admit it to you, I'm pretty useless. And it's not that I lack confidence. I know what I'm good at and what I'm bad at. Is blockchain and Bitcoin the same thing?
No. Blockchain and Bitcoin is not. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, right?
Okay.
Blockchain technology is just that, is a technology. The relationship is this. As part of the process of ensuring with blockchain that you have consistency across the entire chain, or I should say the entire world, and for everyone across the entire world to agree that the new set of data that we're about to add to this chain is the data that should be in that chain, right? You get that?
Yeah.
So we want to add new data to the new chain of blocks around the world. Everyone needs to agree that this is the new set of data that's going to be added. There's a lot of complexity, a lot of calculations to determine what the new chain is. But once the new chain is decided among all of the people making that decision, then it's added to this chain of information around the world. Bitcoin, in the case of a Bitcoin cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is used to reward the individual who owns the new block that's going to be added to the chain.
Okay.
Okay. So it's essentially used as a reward mechanism. Okay, as an incentive mechanism to get more people to participate in determining what new data is added to the block. So it's sort of a byproduct of implementing the blockchain technology is a reward mechanism. So you can actually have a blockchain without Bitcoin in this case, but you can't have Bitcoin without blockchain.
Okay, cool. My son's been asking me to invest in Bitcoin. I mean, I only invest in what I understand. So I told you how useless I am in technology. I have nothing.
So, yeah. So, Dr. Johnson, I want to take you back to your time at Stanford University when
Okay.
you're working on your master's, because I read something, and I want you to share that with you. And I'm going to say a name, and I want you to walk us through that time period. Dr. William Shockley.
Okay. Yes.
Can you share that story with us?
Dr. William Shockley was a well-renowned engineer. He was very known throughout the world with a certain level of expertise in that field. He was also a professor for many years at Stanford University. in his spare time, I think this was in the 60s, he conducted research that he said quantified or proved that blacks were inferior to whites. Okay. And so one day I was on campus as a student at Stanford, and he was, at a copying machine, making copies, and I was waiting. And that's when one of my classmates said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No, I don't." Then I said, "Well, this is William Shockley. This is what he did, right?" And I was like, well, if he really believes that, right, then I'm going to have to show him, prove to him that he doesn't know what he's talking about. And at the time, I was a graduate student at Stanford with a fellowship to just get a master's degree and then leave and go into industry to go to work. But it was as a result of that chance encounter, dare I say chance, that I decided to continue and stay to get a PhD, because I had a PhD fellowship, but I was planning to drop out once I get a master's degree. So I decided not to drop out.
Well, you have to thank him for that, right? Because
Absolutely.
you're just like me. When people tell me you can't do this or you're not capable of this, I'll say, let me show you how it gets done.
Yeah, so he's not all bad, right?
So it's not, it's not, the point I'm making is you were going to drop out, but because of his negativity and his bad attitude, you had to demonstrate, not just for him, but for more Black people as well, that your view on Black people being inferior is just your flippant view. See what I've done?
Yeah.
So you spoke for the majority. So hats off to you. If I did not tell you I love you, Dr. Johnson, no, I do. I have the utmost respect
I also have to say, I knew I could do it. I just didn't want to, because I wanted to go out and make some money. But he changed my mind.
So,
can I ask this question, please? And it's a follow-up to that. Did you go up to him? Because I would have.
I did not. No, I did not.
I would have.
Because he would have my classmate didn't tell me this until after he had left.
Oh,
right. But even if he was there, I probably would not have gone up to him.
Yeah. See, that just shows you, Charmaine. She's very opinionated, and she loves to speak to people. I'm just messing, especially people that rub her the wrong way. You're gonna know. You're gonna
hear okay, well then you have to hear this story then, right? Because I was a graduate student this time at Rice University. That's where I went to get my PhD. And I walked into a lab, and the lab assistant was the only one there. So I went in, and the lab was for graduate students. So I went in and I sat down and started working. And he came up to me. I'm sitting down and he's standing up. So, I'm looking up to him. And he says, "I believe you're in the wrong place." And my initial thought, instinctive reaction would be to, share a few words with him that I will not share here. But then I said, no, that's not the best approach. This is an educational moment, a teaching moment for this young man, right? So I said to him, "No, I'm not. I'm in the right place." So we went back and forth. "You're in the wrong place." "No, I'm not." And then he got frustrated because, I was not going to get frustrated because I knew what was going on. He did not. So we had a conversation. He asked me a few questions. And then it became clear that, first of all, I was a PhD student. He was a master's degree student. And, I may have been teaching one of his classes. So he apologized to me. He really did.
I bet he did.
And so I said to him, "That's okay this time, but the next time someone who looks like me walks into this lab, don't be so sure of yourself."
I love that.
Well, you made.
So I kind of thought that was a little better than sharing a few words.
Absolutely. But that's my strategy in life, actually. It's not to waste my energy on telling them how terrible they are or whatever. It's to demonstrate to them, hey, we're all people. The next time you decide to disrespect or just assume without having the facts, think twice. Well, it
Yes.
works in some places and sometimes it doesn't. It's all about their desire and willingness to change. Because
Right.
sometimes it's just they're blinded to it.
Yes.
And you just need to open their eyes. Because if we want to change the world like the way we want to, then we need to find ways and means of actually driving that change in a way that's not going to be completely confrontational, because I am at times, depending who I'm speaking with, but more open-minded. And this is what we have to offer as a collective. Listen to me or us and not do what you've just done to me. I was like,
Right.
But I'm proud of you. I love you. I'm so grateful for what you have to bring to this conversation, but more especially to what you've been doing. As a master inventor, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I can share with you when I
Oh
first
my God,
learned.
I must apologize because it was going to butt in, and then
Mm-mm,
I
mm-mm,
spoke,
mm-mm.
and then I
I'm,
failed to give him
you, you, for,
handover.
you forget I'm married, so I'm used to women over talking me. No, I'm just messing up, teasing.
He had the unmitigated gall to make a statement like that when two women are talking to him.
Come
Tell
on,
me,
Ed,
Dr.
you
I
John.
are
gotta
a
add,
very wise man, aren't you?
I gotta add some spice to the conversation.
Oh,
Get you
okay.
guys
All
revved
right.
up.
Well, that's definitely a lot of spice.
I'm loving this. Dr. Johnson, so inventor, tell me a little bit about that.
So when I left Rice University, I went to work for IBM T.J. Watson Research Center in Yorktown Heights, New York, just north of New York City. And I more or less continue with the work that I did, for my PhD thesis. And so I did a little bit of work within a few months, and I shared it with my manager, my boss at the time, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, we can get a patent from this." And I'm like, "What? Get a what?" And so we went through the process, and that's how I learned what the process was to get a patent.
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, well, if this is the only thing that's required," then I started doing more and more and more. And it's what I would say to people is anyone can go through the process and get a patent. It's just that most people are unaware of what the process is, what it takes, etc. But if you've ever been in a situation, Charmaine, you said you're not really good at computers. If you try to use a computer, in your example of not being too savvy, um, and you run into an issue and you ask the question, why did they do it this way? Why couldn't they have done it some other way?
Yeah.
Well, if you think about, well, what are some of the other ways in which it can be done, and you spend time thinking about the specifics of other ways, then that is more likely than not a catalyst for an idea that eventually could be patentable.
That is powerful, actually, because we
Yes,
often do.
yes,
And you often go through that pain of frustration, but don't do anything to
right,
complete the process. So you've made quite a statement. So when people are thinking, finding solutions to problems, you can actually have it
right.
patented. Absolutely.
Now, and if you live in this world long enough, sometimes you will see something coming out in the marketplace where you go, hey, wait a minute, I thought
I've
about
already,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's, you said so many things in just that point, though, because so many of us think about things and don't follow through on it, and other people
Yes.
do. And especially where we find ourselves in the world, you've been to South Africa, the unemployment rate is so high.
Mhm.
People don't have jobs.
Right.
And if they utilize that thinking to find solutions, they could actually start businesses that could generate income. So the point I'm making, maybe you should actually give us a spec as to how they should do this patented. We say patent, right, in South Africa, process. Oh, but we can talk about that because I think you have a lot. Not I think I know you have a lot of value to give the world. And my next question is, I have so many questions for you because you're so incredible. Um, what do you think your purpose in this world is? You've already achieved so much.
So, in 2007,
Uh-huh.
I went to Africa for the first time, Ghana,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to visit a slave castle there. And I don't know if you've ever visited a slave castle, but it was a
I did.
horrible, horrible experience for me, right? Because that's where they kept the captured Africans before they were placed on ships uh, to cross the Atlantic to the Americas. And so, as part of the tour, uh, we were allowed to go through what they call a door of no return. And this particular castle, it really wasn't a door. It was two concrete slabs that were separated. It was wide enough for one human to go through, right? And then you go through that and you stand on a ledge that's about 5 feet above the ground. And right in front of you is the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
So when I went through that door of no return and I stood on the ledge, I sort of had a eureka moment that I was one of the descendants of the people who probably went through this castle, or if not this one, a similar one in West Africa. And wanted the descendants to come back and help rebuild the continent of Africa. If you walk through the front door of this slave castle, it's the Elmina slave castle, there's a plaque that reads, and I'm paraphrasing, "To all who enter here, may you never forget the horrors of this place. And for those who are descendants, may some of you come back to help rebuild." Right. So I felt as though after that experience, that is what my purpose is, to work and collaborate with the people of Africa using my technology skills to help rebuild the continent. And that's why I went searching within IBM for an opportunity to be in Africa and to travel across the continent.
Oh,
That was beautiful. Simply beautiful.
I
And
know.
by the way, I met so many young, smart people who are gifted at so many things in Kenya and Nigeria and Ghana and South Africa, particularly. Many of them entrepreneurs. And I think it's a well kept secret. Just, and I would tell them, keep doing what you're doing and be careful who you share this with, because some folks from the West may come and try to steal your idea. And actually, one man, when I said that to him, he said it's too late. They already stole it. But I've come up with something else, right? So the future of Africa from a technology perspective is amazing. The young people there have all of these great ideas. I was so impressed that I told my advisor, my Ph.D. thesis advisor is a Nigerian American. He was born in Nigeria. And I said to him, you need to come to Kenya, because that's where I was living. You would not believe this, right? So when he finally arrived, within 2 hours, he calls me and he says, Sandra, I can't believe what's happening. He's telling me all of these great things, right? And I said, hello, have you not forgotten who shared this with you initially? So he more or less, since that time, he retired. He started his own company and is based in Nigeria, and not Nigeria, Nairobi. And he
Okay.
travels the continent. He has a technology company there, working with the young people there and their ideas.
Love it.
That's impressive. There's been very smart ways of how they've been transferring, especially it started in in Kenya, actually. The money send without
Yeah,
having a
no
bank
paper.
account.
M-Pesa.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
M-Pesa.
that's,
Yes.
yeah, that's been quite impressive. So yeah, um, do you know, I know you were born in Japan,
Yes.
but do you
Can't you
know
tell?
people, sorry,
Can't you tell?
I can actually. I mean, we shouldn't be judging people by the way they look, right? Um, but yeah. Um,
I would say that to the folks in immigration every time I arrived in a new country, and it just threw them off.
but you know what? That's what's so frustrating, Dr. Johnson, where people have these preconceived ideas as to what a person should look like and act like. I mean, like, you don't. Do you have a Japanese? You're born in Japan. Do you have like dual residence, dual citizenship?
No, no, they don't have the same law that we have in the U.S.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, Ed, I speak too much. I'm so excited to have this amazing, intelligent, warm-hearted woman in the room. I'm going to keep quiet to let Ed come in.
No, I just want to back up a little bit because we referenced it twice at the beginning of the show, and Charmaine, you brought it up. Dr. Johnson, you're a hidden figure. What makes you a hidden figure?
What makes me that? Because
Yeah.
there are very few people in the world that are aware that I and people like me exist. That's
Okay.
why I'm hidden.
So for the many people that may be tuning in here from different countries, um, what do you mean, people like you?
People who are Black, Negro, African, of African descent, of the African diaspora, male and female, who have PhDs or who are gifted in science, technology, engineering, and math, and have succeeded at the highest levels, making a significant contribution to global society.
Thank you.
I'm so proud and honored to be in your company. So thank
So,
you.
so what she did not say in all of that is that she was the first African American woman to receive a PhD in computer engineering in the United States.
That is
That's
correct.
that is what makes her a hidden thing. She's the first. There's many that followed her. She was the first. And I wanted to make sure that people understood that because you have an amazing story from childhood to even today, some of the things that you're absolutely doing. But I thank you for paving the way for a lot of women.
Hmm.
Yes. Now, understand at the time, I was unaware that I was the first. I just knew that, once I got to Stanford, for example, that there were no other Black women in my classes, right? That wasn't a real issue for me, a concern to me, because I truly loved the work, right? Remember what I said earlier. This is something that I I was born to do, right? And so when people would try to tell me otherwise, and I can assure you there have been a few, my thinking was, oh well, you don't know who I am. You don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. And in due season you will.
Mm.
You're such an inspiration, actually. And I love your attitude. Like nothing stops you. You know where you're going.
That
And
is
and
absolutely true.
and your love for your work just speaks for itself. You're not there to impress anybody. You're just there to continue doing it and you just make waves in as you move forward, which is incredible actually. Dr. Johnson,
Yes, ma'am.
you've achieved so much, right? So for the young women that are out there trying to find their way, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you want to land with them?
I would say know who you are, right? Know who you are, the essence of who you are.
Yeah.
Know what you were born to do. And if you don't know, then think about what are some of the things that you just truly enjoy, right? Things that you would do, for a living, but you would do it and not get paid because you enjoy it so much. But just don't tell anybody you would do it if you wouldn't get paid, right? Just keep that to yourself. But whatever that is, think about that as this is something, this is a gift that you can hone, that you could polish, etc. And do that, right? And don't think about the compensation, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people in this world who are doing things and making all of this money and they're miserable,
Yeah.
miserable. They hate what they do. So focus on what you're good at, hone in on that, do well in that, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If there's something that you know you were born to do, that you love to do, of course there will be people who will try to discourage you, right? Sometimes they're playing mind games because they can see the gift and they're trying to, play this mind game with your head so that you will not reach your full potential, right? So understand, just because they're saying that to you does not mean it's true, right? They could be playing games with you. So that's why you have to be confident in who you are and what your gifts are, that you've honed these gifts, and then utilize them to your best of your ability. And then if you were good at it, and chances are you will be, because this is something you love to do, the money will come.
I'm tempted to say amen, and I'm going to say it because I think
Go
that is
ahead.
so
Go
powerful.
ahead and say. Go ahead and say. Which is a great segue for me now. Because Charmaine just said amen. Dr. Sonia, when the first thing that you said when we said introduce yourself, you said I'm a child of God. And then you said
Yes.
something a little while ago, in due season, which is Galatians 6 and 9 that you're aware of. How has your faith guided you through your early life, midlife, and where you are right now?
Well, I can share with you because I think this is, of all of the experiences, the most prominent of my experiences as it relates to faith. So there was a time where I was up for a serious promotion that I earned. And the reason why I say I earned it is because I was part of a team that studied why women and minorities do not reach this level, and these are the things they have to do to reach it, right? So I was up for this promotion. It was a big one. I did not get it, even though I earned it. And then at the same time, in my personal life, a relationship just fell apart at the same time. And so I had reached a point in my life where everything that I had planned for just went away. And my heart and soul was in all of it. Like, and so it was a shock to me, a shock to my system, to the point where I became nauseous and could not eat. Now, one thing you may know about me is that, you could call me anything but late for dinner, right? The fact that I could not eat was a serious issue,
It makes
right?
two of us. I love food.
So what did I do? I turned to my faith. I turned to God. And what I did, because this was a serious experience for me, mentally, physically, emotionally. So I would force myself to go to work. I would come home, and then I would spend the rest. I would nibble when I got to the point where I could eat again, and then I would spend the rest of the night, all through the night, in prayer, listening to gospel music, searching for, asking God, okay, I tried this my way. Now tell me, what am I supposed to do? That's my journey to Africa, several months after that. And you know the rest of that story.
That is, you know, I believe God always listens, actually. You may not always get your answers immediately, but it comes in ways, and you just need to be open to it. I mean, that's such a powerful share. So thank you for sharing, Dr. Johnson.
Well, one more thing I want to add to that. Shortly after that experience, I met this man from Ghana who had a vision for creating a technology park, a Silicon Valley in Ghana. And one of my proteges introduced me to him. He was the pastor of her church. And so she introduced me. I talked to him. He's like, what are your thoughts about Africa? And I'm like, Africa? What? Now remember, this is in the middle of me searching, right? And so, he tells me a little bit about the continent, about Ghana, and, even though he's a pastor, he's a background as an electrical engineer. And that's why he had this vision. So he convinced me to do this. I said, okay, I'll help you, right? And so as part of the process, I did research on technology parks around the world, right? And one thing I learned is that there are three main components that have to be a part of the equation: government, universities, especially research universities, and industry, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm in the United States of America. How am I going to connect with government officials, universities, and industries around the continent of Africa? It's like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I became frustrated. But anyway, we did put together an African Technology Conference in Ghana, right? And shortly thereafter, remember I told you, I traveled around the continent of Africa.
You did?
I met government officials, university contacts, and industry.
I mean, you work for the biggest technology company, right? IBM. So you've had inroads into all of that. Anyway.
So at the time, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but guess what?
Yeah, I like when you keep saying that, actually, because it's just testament to where your life flowed, even though it wasn't like we planned, but God knows best, right?
For the plans that I maybe stop.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Say
We're gonna go for the plans that I, you, Dr. Sandra, you and I have had conversations about our faith, and
yes.
We've shared, that we make plans. God laughs. Because, we shared how we've made plans to do this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's like, but that's not what I have for you. What I have for you is much greater than what you can even comprehend. But you don't know my thoughts towards you and, planning to prosper you and not harm you. And that's what you're seeing as evident in your life. You're a walking, living testimony. Plain and simple. You're a walking, living testimony. And we can all learn so much from you. But more importantly, we can get an inspiration from you. So I thank you for all that you've done, all that you continue to do right now. And I want to talk a little bit about the genesis for your company.
Okay. All right. And Charmaine hinted at it a little bit when she mentioned M-Pesa. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when I was working in Nairobi in Kenya, I was based there. I traveled all over the place, but I spent some time there too. I used M-Pesa, right? And I thought it was amazing. I use it for everything.
So for the people Dr. Sandra, for the people that don't know what that is, can you explain what that is?
So M-Pesa is, it's for those of you in the United States, it's like a mobile wallet. It's like cash, right? Or it's like a Zelle. The difference is it enables you to transfer money from you to someone else. And it's done via the mobile phone. That is, M-Pesa for the users is not a bank account. It is a financial account that's associated with your mobile telephone number, right? So that you can send money to someone by just typing in their mobile phone number, and the money is transferred to them. from
So it,
your financial account that's
so is
associated with the telephone company.
so is it like Cash App here that so many people
Yes.
use? Okay.
Yes, the difference with Cash App is all bank based, right? You go to the bank, right, to get the money or put the money in. With M-Pesa, instead of going to a bank, you go to the mobile telephone service. So in Kenya, the primary mobile telephone service is Safaricom, but MTN, which is founded in South Africa. MTN also has it. MTN has it. It's not called M-Pesa, but it's the same thing. Yeah. So you go to MTN or M-Pesa to deposit money into your financial account, right? That's associated with your bank, or to withdraw money. And
So we got
so
the
I use that.
explanation.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So you've explained it, but I just want to
Yeah.
understand your connection to it. Thank you.
So I use that, a lot. And so when I started thinking about what am I going to do next, uh, I think I had reached a point where uh, the next opportunity in my mind I thought was probably not going to be IBM. Although I did look for opportunities at IBM, but I was open to other things. So I started thinking about, okay, entrepreneurship. What can I do? Because remember what my purpose is, using my technology skills to help the people of Africa. So then I thought about M-Pesa. I thought about the fact that when I would come home for a vacation to North Carolina, and I would try to send money back, the pain, if you will, the time, the cost, etc. So I merged those two and came up with a mobile app that I call geeRemit. It's a money transfer app that enables people who live in the West to send money home to family and friends in emerging countries, starting with countries in Africa.
Okay.
And my company, Global Mobile Finance Inc., has developed this app, geeRemit. What makes geeRemit different from other mobile money transfer apps is that there's a social component. A percentage of the transfer fee is used to enable the sender to save money for the recipient over time. So the more they transfer to the recipient, the more money is saved in an account that the sender controls. And so then they can use that account to, pay for the school, the education of the receiver, to help them start a business or some other life-changing benefit. Or they can choose to have the money donated to a charitable organization, either where the sender is or where the receiver is, that has been, of course, fully vetted.
I mean, your mission to actually help people is in that app that you've actually built, though, because it wasn't
Yes.
just one dimensional transfer money. It's how do we save money? I mean, we know when you have access to funding, it gives you an opportunity to do so much more. So you've built that in. So thank you. Oh, I love you. Oh, God, I love generously. So please don't get offended when I keep saying this, because I really
No,
mean it.
no,
I think
I'm
it's
not offended.
incredible for people to do, for you to have done what you're doing, actually. So, yeah, I'm so glad my boyfriend invited you into the house. I'm so excited that, to be in your company and hear all these amazing things that you're doing. Dr. Johnson, I have a question. Okay. Is there anything else do you want to share about your business and what it's doing and the impact that it's having before I actually ask my final question?
geeRemit, you can just look it up online.
Okay, fab. No, I did, and I didn't. I didn't read the savings component. I'm all about money and saving. I'm married for money, right? My surname is Subramani. I help people understand money, save money, because the power of financial freedom is just at another level. And my goal is to get more people to achieve that. And I'm glad you're doing it. Question: you've been around Africa, traveled around 22 countries, right? And Africa is a wealth of resources. And it's a wealthy country, right? It's just been exploited on many levels. So I'm not going to answer the question. I'm going to ask the question. What do you think, and you've had exposure to to African leaders, what do you think they need to do differently to preserve the wealth for its people and grow and make to grow the to retain the wealth in the continent and help more people living here? Because if you look at the resources and you look at the lifestyle of individuals living in Africa, it's actually sad. Am I asking my question?
And that's a gross understatement.
Yeah, I'm being
Yes.
kind to Africa.
Yes. So yes, I certainly understand. Fully understand. It's disheartening, but yes, I do understand. So my belief, okay, remember I mentioned earlier about the young people of Africa and the
Sure.
entrepreneurs of Africa. I think I truly believe this with every fiber of my being, that some of the future tech billionaires in the world will come out of Africa. And it will be their influence and their power that will drive change.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
And it goes around the government.
And the government. Like,
It goes around it to make influence, to drive change.
I know. It's just that I'm so disappointed with the African leaders, actually, and especially the way they manage the resources. Because if they managed it properly, more people will have food on the table. So that's a conversation for another day. Ed, any more questions for Dr. Johnson? I have lots more, but I know you're going to tell
No,
me to
you
keep.
got no. You got, fire your questions away. Dr. Sandra and I have sat down for coffee multiple times, so you fire your
Yes.
questions away.
Dr. Johnson, it's clear to me that you've had quite a challenging life, right? There's no doubt about it. Having lost your dad at the age that you've done, your mom is such a strong, amazing woman, right? So you've come from a line of very, very, very strong women that will not take no for anything. When you set your mind to things, you just make things happen. What's next for you? What's next for you?
To grow my company so that, it can have the type of influence I just described, right? And to also continue to grow future leaders of Africa.
Okay.
Right. That is next. And not just Africa, but in the United States as well. And to always, I always do this, help those less fortunate than me.
Absolutely. I mean,
so to continue to have the impact, a greater impact than what I've had thus far.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask a Black question, right? I'm a Black woman as well. I've had my own challenges being in a corporate world. What was your biggest challenge you faced in a corporate world being a Black woman? And what is the advice?
Well, actually, the challenge was also, for me, the solution. People didn't take me seriously. But I used that to my advantage. So by the time they realized that I should be taken seriously, I already did what they didn't want me to do. Right. Sure. You know what I mean? So that was a challenge, but I took that also as an opportunity.
Okay.
Wow.
You ignore me, well, I can just keep doing what I'm doing. Nobody's putting roadblocks in my way because I'm not serious. So it was great.
But it also builds your strength, though, because you don't allow people that ignore you or whatever to actually impact you. It just fuels you to be able to deliver on whatever you set your mind to. So that's an important message for people to understand. You could either allow the negativity to pull you down, or you could just ignore it, block out the noise and all the negativity, and just stay your lane and just do you. Oh, I'm using Rawan's hashtag. She goes, do you.
So when I was at Southern, my HBCU institution, it was a very supportive environment. We had friendly competition, but it was supportive, right? So then when I went from that to Stanford University, it was the complete opposite, right? We actually had to work together in groups, teams, on problem sets. in order to do our work. And just about every class that I took that required that, at the end of the first day of class is when we would select, the members of our team. And almost all of my classmates, including the women, would look at me from head to toe a few times and then say, no, we don't want you on our team. So the first time that happened, I began to panic because I'm like, what am I going to do? I need to be on a team, right? And then there was this guy from Lebanon who noticed that I'm, standing around trying to figure out what to do. That same thing was happening to him, right? So we formed our own team. We found another person from Australia. And this guy from Lebanon was the smartest person in the class. So I ended up on the best team. And that happened over and over and over again, right? And as I would talk to my fellow classmates, maybe after a lecture or two, or particularly after we got the test back, and they would just, talk, speak as though they're just the smartest person in the world, etc. It took me a while to figure this out because I was used to a supportive environment. And I figured out that they were playing mind games. It took me a while. So once I figured that out, it's just like that they're really not what they say they are, so that sort of became a seed for me that blossomed into anytime someone comes to me and tell me what I can't do, I'm like, okay, this guy's playing a game with me. So I would dismiss it and I would not internalize it.
That's such a powerful statement. Don't internalize what other people tell you.
Right.
And you said so many powerful things. Know yourself, know what you're good at, hone it. Don't listen to people on the outskirts because they have a game plan and you could just fall into it, or you can step out and just play your own game. When I say game, not in a horrible sense, it's just knowing who you are and just moving forward in a way that matters.
And what's important, just to add to what you just said, what's important is you have to understand what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
Don't say I want to be an opera singer and you cannot carry a tune. You have to be realistic about what you're good at.
No, but that's having clarity and that's knowing who you are. So you need to understand that, know what you love, and just keep at it. Because what people actually want is they want to achieve stuff, most people, but don't do the work. And there's no such thing as overnight success. When you see somebody being successful, it's been like hours and hours and hours of stuff that you have not seen them doing it. Right. And that's what the young generation needs to realize. There's like when people say, oh my God, overnight success, really? No, it's just work in the background. It's not being included in groups because you're not good enough. You don't look like them. You don't act like them. You don't speak like them. You find your own group. You make it happen. You should
use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. And that's the message people need to hear. It's like we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I've never been. I don't care to be, actually. Ed's never been. We've shared stories. You've never been. Hey, but we made it. Look at us here having this amazing conversation. That's all people need to know.
Absolutely.
Success depends on you, your mind, your attitude, your work.
You are the captain of your ship.
I agree.
You're the one that steers the ship. Don't let anybody else steer it, but you.
Oh my God, I love you. I love you too, Ed.
I love you too, Charmaine. Now, I've had many coffee conversations with Zulu Ed, but when I come to South Africa, I'll let you know so that we can have our coffee too.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait. I can't wait to
come to North Carolina.
I haven't been there yet. I've been to the States, but not North Carolina. So one day I'll pop around.
Yeah, we'll get her some barbecue and some other stuff. So
we call it a braai here, by the way, and I'm not a meat eater.
Oh, that's right.
It's called a braai, B-R-A-A-I. Dr. Johnson would know it. You would have been to a couple of you, right?
Okay. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sandra, as we get ready to wrap up, I got a question for you. So that question is, God is starting to talk to you. When he says, my daughter, I want to use you to influence the world. What do you want?
So now, is that you talking? Or is that God talking?
That's God talking. He says, what do you want to influence the world?
One word: wisdom.
And why'd you choose wisdom?
Solomon.
Mm,
The wisdom of Solomon.
love it. Love it. For those who don't know Solomon, Solomon is in the Bible. Whether you're a Christian or not, some of the wisdom that is in that book is absolutely amazing. That can be used for practical living in today. And it was written God knows how long ago. So, Dr. Sandra, it has truly been a blessing to have you in the Ubuntu house. We thank you. Continue to do the great work that you're doing. We love the mission that you're trying to help serve Africa. I think
Not
there's
trying, he is.
she's okay. Let me change my
He
oh
can't help
correct.
himself. That's okay. He can't
See,
help himself.
and the woman can't help herself but correct the man. Charmaine, stop it. I'll be, I know I'm gonna be in trouble later. But we
Sounds like
appreciate
you're
you.
used to it.
Oh, it's
Oh
just
my God, this has been my best
you don't
session.
you don't
Johnson, you have to
understand.
come back. I love you.
So real quick, I've had her and Florida on the line. So for those of you who don't know, Florida is my wife. I had them both on a session with me, and yeah, it was interesting. I'll just say that it was interesting. But we thank you, everyone. This has been another Ubuntu Connected podcast. We thank you for joining us wherever you are. Good morning, good evening, good night. Thank you. We love you. And if there's anything that we can do to serve any of you or your network, don't hesitate to let us know. Take care, everybody.
Love and light,
Bye
everyone. And
bye.
thank you, Dr. Johnson.